again, and welcome to Foreplay Radio Sex Therapy. I'm your host, certified sex therapist Laurie Watson, author of Wanting Sex Again, and blogger at Psychology Today and WebMD. And I have with me Dr. Adam Mathews, my co-host, who's a couples therapist, psychotherapist, and president of NCAMFT. Foreplay is dedicated to helping couples keep it hot. Each episode, we cover an aspect of sex that impacts your sex life and something that you can relate to. So if you find our discussions helpful, please give us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. We would love it if you would tell a friend about us. You can find us also on the web at foreplayrst.com. And if you have a comment or a topic that you'd like us to talk about, we'd love to hear from you. Please send them to us at info@foreplayrst.com. Thanks for listening. Now on to today's topic. So Adam, we're back and we're talking about sex and stress and the impact of stress.
We are all stressed. What's stressing you out, Laurie?
Oh my gosh.
What is stressing you out?
My home is a wreck.
Yeah?
Yeah, my home is like totally disorganized right now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a frequent problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I just think I'm so busy. There's always one bigger project that's coming.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking me, my son's girlfriend was asking me last night, well, what are you doing? You know, what is so stressful about your work and your life? And it's like, okay, so I have clinical practice. I manage 2 different sites. We're opening a 3rd site. I'm in a PhD program. I mean, we're redoing the website. I'm doing a hire right now.
You're doing a podcast.
Designing the podcast last night. I mean, we have to redesign the website for Foreplay, right?
Oh,
I mean, it's
Laurie,
just,
your list is stressing me out. I don't have all of it.
Serious. What are you stressed out about?
Oh man, the biggest stress is kids, man. Kids that keep us going. I mean, busyness, I think busyness is one of the biggest modern day stressors, so that we are all way too busy. And so we have kid stuff that's going on, like soccer, ballet, camps this summer, and then we just have a toddler who just does not stop.
This is the cannonball?
This is the kid that he is the human cannonball. They call him Little Bruiser. I mean, he is like 1'5" and like 35 pounds or something like that. And he's just constantly going. So, and it just pushes out time. And I don't think we've had a free Saturday just to ourselves. And
I know.
And weeks and weeks and weeks. And I need to teach my kids how to ride a bike. Like I haven't done that yet. I'm a horrible father for not teaching my kids how to ride a bike.
There's like a YouTube thing on how to teach your kids how to ride a bike that is so much smarter than the old run beside them and let them go. It's way smarter.
That's good, because the running beside them was stressing me out just because of how jogging and running would have to stress me out. So if there's an easier way,
there's an easier way. And kids, I mean, I think our family relationships, while you have all the busyness, kids, you never kind of stop worrying about them.
Yeah,
I mean, even with my growing kids and grown kids, I still feel all kinds of stress about their direction in life. And I mean, I think there's a lot of worry. Once you're a parent, you're never invulnerable again, right? I mean, you always have this fear and worry about where they're going, and it's modern day life is very stressful.
Yeah, and I think there's just a work fear or work stress as well. Like it just builds and builds and builds. There's always something happening with work. Are we succeeding well enough? Are we doing enough? I think there's just an enough stress too. Like there's I read Brene Brown talks about this a lot, of like we all are worrying whether what we're doing is enough, whether we're enough, whether we have enough. And it's just an enough stress that's just constantly present, a question in the back of our minds.
If we're good enough.
If we're good enough.
Do you know the number one fear of everybody is whether or not other people will realize that they're a fraud? That somehow or another what we're doing, we're really, even though we're executing things, we're really just a fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody worries that.
And so that, I think that creates stress.
And that's an internal stress, right? I mean, It's not even external circumstances, but the way we think about ourselves creates stress too.
Yeah.
It's not just what's happening, it's the way we respond and feel about what's happening that creates more stress.
And then there's just life stressors at every stage of life, right? I mean, when you are taking care of aged parents, when you, I mean, when you're having kids, when you're first buying a house, when you have to move, any kind of illness that comes along, any kind of...
The relatives visiting.
Yeah, I mean stress at holiday time.
Holiday stress.
I mean, it's all kinds of just things that just build at every stage of life. There's some new stressor that's just part of that life stage that comes along.
Right. And somehow or another, though, there are people out there who are more resilient to the stress and who manage it better. And we want to talk about them. But I also think that there are particular stressors that impact sex more than others. I mean, what you just said about the young parenting years of always busy, not having a weekend off. I mean, my gosh, it's like if you don't have a weekend off with your wife, how do you go on a date? How do you have enough time to have long, luxurious sex? I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, and just making time then becomes a stressor in of itself.
Yeah,
right?
Lack of emotional connection, I think, is one of the bigger stressors that impact females when it comes to their sexual desire.
Yeah, tell me more about that. What do you mean by that?
I mean, I just think for women, if they feel disconnected from their partner, either by time, energy, or space, they don't feel as regularly sexual about it. They need, right? I mean, women talk and connect to have sex, and men often have sex to feel safe enough to talk and connect. But without that, the stressors in life that impact time for women, I think, really decrease her sexual libido. And I think for men, there are particular stressors, too, that I hear about, like financial stress for men.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like they start to question their value, if they're good enough, and they can shut down sexually for that. And I think also if the relationship, if there's a lot of marital stress, men can shut down sexually.
Yeah. Well, and I think that again, is a lot of ways about performance and whether they're performing well. I mean, that's one of the ways that, financially, if we're performing well at work, or if our marriage is successful, if we can define it as successful, if we can define our sex life as successful, if any of those things we can define that way, then stress is lowered. When it's not, when those things if we're defining those things as unsuccessful, if we see that we're failing in any one of those areas, then stress is gonna spike up because we're gonna feel like we have to fix that. We have to solve one of those problems, or sometimes all of them feel stressful.
It doesn't seem like the daily busy stress particularly impacts male libido. Like they almost think of sex as a stress reliever. And partly it's because of anatomy, right? They can come and have sex, and it can be very pleasurable and good, without a lot of time. Yeah. So for them, a quickie, or we got 20 minutes, let's go for it. Whereas maybe she needs, I need 2 hours because I need to connect with you first, and we don't have 2 hours.
Right. Well, but isn't it true though too that men tend to find sex more as a stress reliever as well? Over women don't always tend to find sex as a stress reliever. So a lot of times men may be stressed at work and go looking for sex as a way to relieve that stress, which is not going to be the same thing for women in their life, right? And when women get stressed, they're not going to go seek sex out to try to relieve that stress, right?
Mostly, I would say. Mostly that's true. I think that some women, the ones that are more sort of sexual pursuers, might look to sex as a way to relieve
Mm-hmm.
stress and a way to connect. I mean, we know it's not completely gendered.
Sure.
But
I think that's a challenge, though, and I think that's part of what ends up disconnecting people in their sexual relationships is whether or not if one person is going to look for it as a stress reliever and it's not that way for their partner, then that becomes difficult, or when stress then tends to keep them from having sex, right? What you were saying before was that stress drops women's libido. You think stress drops a woman's libido as much as it drops a man's?
Yeah, probably more.
Probably more.
I mean, I do. There's also a bit of hormonal research on, when we're stressed, our cortisol goes up. And we know that when we give people cortisol who are in like cortisol crises or something and need it, that it binds with testosterone. And so then literally they don't have as much desire. We're not exactly sure. The research I haven't seen is proven yet, but there's some suggestion that high stress does have an impact on testosterone.
Yeah. Well, we know
which is, of course, governing our desire.
Yeah. Well, even if we don't know the specifics of what happens, we know that stress has a physical manifestation in our bodies, right? At
Yeah.
very limited, at very minimally, it makes us tired. It gets us cranky. Like there's
Yeah.
all these kind of things.
Who
that
wants
it
to have
does
sex
to
with
us.
somebody who's cranky?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Well, I mean, you can just think of the effects that stress has on you. I know for me, it makes me not want to be around people.
Sure.
Right. When I'm stressed, I don't want more people. I don't want to have another conversation. I definitely don't want to like work through disagreements very well. I get tired. I get irritable.
So stress, I mean, deeply impacts our relationship, our ability to be very relational.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, and it keeps us from pursuing emotional intimacy as well.
Sure.
Right. Because we don't want to do when we're stressed. We don't want to do the things that are going to build emotional intimacy, right? Like, I mean, we're going to do the things that feel good to try to relieve that stress. So I want to eat. I want a good
Yeah.
I want a good piece of cake.
Brownies.
I want some ice cream, man.
And drinking.
And yeah, sure.
You know, I think a lot of people turn to alcohol when they're stressed. And of course, too much alcohol, I mean, it impacts a male's certainly ability to have an erection, leads to impotence. You know, too tired to have sex, too drunk to have sex.
Or we just want to disconnect. I think, we want to turn on the TV and just watch some crap show that doesn't mean anything so that we can just turn off our minds. Better for me if you combine that with food so that there's the Great British Baking Show. Have you been watching the Great British Baking Show, Laurie?
Adam, you're admitting that on the podcast that you watched that?
Oh, absolutely. I tell everybody about that.
I love that
show.
show.
There's no shame in that. Do you love it?
I love that show.
It's the friendliest reality competition I've ever seen.
Is.
It's so
it is
friendly.
So kind.
And they make all these kind of
We love
wonderful...
you, Britain.
we do. And Mary Berry, she's always saying, that's so scrummy. And that's what I'm trying to incorporate all of these phrases. So when my wife makes something good, I'm just saying,
what's the guy's
so scrummy.
name? Paul?
Paul Hollywood.
Yeah, he's like hot.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll take your word for it.
Really hot.
I think we want to disconnect as much as possible when we're stressed. And that
watching shows about baking goods.
I mean, come on. I mean, there's just no emotional intimacy that is built in any of those things that we're talking about. So I think stress affects, it keeps us from having sex. It keeps us with the wrong motivation for sex sometimes.
And disconnects us
relationally.
And
it just disconnects us, yeah.
Well, let's come back after the break and talk about how to manage this stress so that it doesn't impact us as much sexually and relationally.
Wanting sex again. How to rediscover desire and heal a sexless marriage by certified sex therapist Laurie Watson.
Each chapter is designed to fix one of the problems that cause low libido, from early marriage through the childbearing years, even all the way through menopause. I've also had men read it and tell me that for them it was the most hopeful thing they read about resolving sexual problems.
Look for Wanting Sex Again on Amazon.com. You can also talk to Laurie Watson for therapy in person or via Skype.
I offer couples counseling and sex therapy, and I think about both aspects of the relationship, emotional intimacy and sexual technique, and that combination together helps marriages be happy.
Weekend couples intensives are also offered. Improve your sex and improve your relationship with Awakening Center for Couples and Intimacy. Find out more at awakenloveandsex.com. Awaken what's possible.
It is one of my great joys in life to be able to really help individuals and couples find strength in their relationships and really find hope again.
Licensed marriage and family therapist, Dr. Adam Mathews from Mathews Counseling.
I work with a wide variety of issues, including depression and anxiety, marital issues, issues with adolescence. I believe that therapy should be designed around you, that it should be personalized to who you are and to your unique situation.
Therapy is available in office, online, and by phone.
I want therapy to be comfortable for everyone. At our office, you'll find that we sit around a fireplace in deep, comfortable chairs, look at the problem differently, and offer practical solutions for you to take home and utilize outside of the therapy room.
Schedule today and rediscover hope.
You can find me on the web at mathewscounseling.net, Mathews with 1 T. You can contact us through email or phone and find a lot of resources on our website, mathewscounseling.net.
Okay, we're back. This is Laurie Watson, your sex therapist, and Dr. Adam Mathews, your couples therapist. And we're talking about sex and stress and how we can minimize stress to make sure that it doesn't impact our sex lives.
Yeah, and we have some tips to try to de-stress, I guess, or make stress less impactful. I don't think we're going to completely take away stress, right?
Sure.
We're going to be stressed at some point in life, even if we're the most laid-back, chilled people in the whole world.
And we described all our stress.
Yeah, we described all our stress.
And
so
we're not
people relate to
having
it.
the major stress that some people are, like a child who's ill or a divorce or, bankruptcy. I mean, there's major stressors out there that are killing people.
Yeah, and we're also not saying that those things shouldn't be stressful. They are. Any of those things you described are stressful things.
But life is stressful. It's a condition. So how do we manage it?
Yeah, and so one of the things we talked about, Laurie, was just valuing self-care, right? Because I think that one of the things that stress can do is that we think that we don't have any time to take care of ourselves, to do those things. Those are usually the first things to go, right?
Absolutely. So we need to exercise, right? I mean, we need to take that hour to exercise every day at least. I know you say massage, right, Adam? Talk about that.
Well, yeah.
Do guys get massage? Are they allowed to make appointments for massage?
Laurie, it's 2017. Yes. And guys are going to get massages. Yes. And in fact, there's some guys I know that they go with their wives to get manicures or pedicures.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
It's 2017.
Mani-pedi?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's the most quote unquote manly thing out there. But
you know what? A guy's nails, I gotta say, in terms of sexual attraction, like his nails have got to look good.
Really?
Yeah.
I have never heard a woman say that, Laurie.
Yeah, like dirty nails or jagged nails. You just think, ooh.
Okay, I want a poll. I think we need to start doing polls to see whether I want to know.
You don't believe me as the God's truth?
I don't fully believe you, but I think body care though is one of the biggest things that can help reduce stress.
Yeah.
Right. That does include things like getting a massage, exercise. It includes things
feeding
like
yourself,
diet. Yes.
I mean, sometimes I think about it like, you're on the run and you grab fast food and you think, okay, would I be feeding my child this?
Yeah.
Or would I be somehow or another managing like, no, my child needs better nutrition than this. I'm going to make time for that. Like, do you feed yourself? It's like we're often thinking about not eating or dieting, but do we think about feeding ourselves well?
Yeah, we don't think about food as fuel.
Yeah.
We think about it as emotional currency, right? And so when we...
Or just something to get through the day.
That's right. Or something we have to do rather than something we get to do.
Yeah.
And so, I think feeding ourselves well, not skipping meals. I hear a lot of people when they're stressed, they start to skip meals, which is so counterintuitive, right? Because
they don't have time.
You don't have time.
They don't have time at lunch to eat, and then they come home cranky because they haven't eaten and, growl at their spouse.
Yeah. And so a lot of people don't connect those two things, self-care and body care. I mean, self-care, too, can just mean taking 30 minutes to read a good book or to go take a walk around a lake or go sit outside and sit in the sun. I think there's all this kind of stuff, but they don't often connect those things to their sexual health and to their sexual relationship. Right. But I think that's one of the things we're trying to say is that they are connected, and then when they help us de-stress, when we have less stress, we're more likely to have a healthy, connected sexual relationship. Right?
Sure. I often suggest to people, before you come home, if you're the type of person who brings your work home, have the pit stop at the gym. Because that hour, first you get your exercise in and you let go of the day, let go of some of the stressors. I mean, I think physical activity is an antidote to mental stress, coming into the body. And they do, coming into the body for all kinds of reasons sexually is good. For our feelings of in touch with our body, our feelings of strength, our endurance. I mean, all of it is good for sex.
Yeah, and even if you can't go to a gym, if you can't afford a gym membership or something like that,
you can go for a walk.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and there are $10 a month gym memberships out there, by the way.
Yes.
But still, if you can't do that, then going for a walk, going for a run, doing something right after work keeps you from bringing that home, right?
Yeah. I have a friend who built a sauna into their house, and they do the sauna. Like, they come in the back door, do the sauna, let go of the day, and then they come into their household, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
I think the biggest stress reliever, though, is the way we feel about our life. We can't control what happens to us. We sometimes can't control the stressors and demands of our careers and families. So it's how we attach to that and feel about that changes something that is an external stress to something that I carry and feel. I mean, one of the things is just by mindfulness, right? And maybe, we probably need to do a whole segment on mindfulness, but in essence, it's not being identified with the stress, but observing yourself in it. Like, okay, I today I feel a lot of pressure. It's a high-powered day. I'm going through this day, and a lot of demands are on me. And I'm noticing right now what? I notice I feel tension in my shoulders. Okay, I can maybe let go of that tension and relax my shoulders. Just for this second, I can let go of that. I don't have to feel the tension in my body. Maybe I can just say, yep, I'm fearful about the direction my kid is going, but I don't have control of that. And I just, I can love, I can let go. The things that we don't have control of, we can't fantasize that we do. We have to sort of breathe them out.
Yeah.
Like, let go. And I would just challenge everybody who's listening today, pick your one major stress, probably something you don't really have control over, and take a deep breath, let it go. Just for 1 second, imagine letting go of carrying that problem or that worry.
You're talking about acceptance, really. Acceptance of what you can control, what you can't control, and where life is. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we face with stress. Is a lot of times their stress is just fighting back against the reality of the situation. And so accepting that reality sometimes can be really helpful and de-stressing. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and you're also talking about, that's meditation right there.
It is meditation. And meditation, they say, is better than an SSRI, an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety med. If you do meditation for a year, you have more effect than you would if you were taking these meds. And I'm not saying don't go off the meds. Please don't go off the meds. That's not what I'm suggesting. Yeah. But I am suggesting adding in even 5 or 10 minutes of just clearing your mind. Just sit there, listen to your breathing, feel your breath. Don't do anything special, but just excuse all the thoughts that are coming into your mind, the wild, running, panicky, anxious thoughts. Just let them go. Totally let them go for 5 minutes. Yeah. The world doesn't stop for 5 minutes if you let go, thinking about politics. Yeah. Don't think about it. Just for 5 minutes. Yeah. Don't think about your worry. Just be there, be present. I find being present is, so pleasent. There are some days that I allow myself just to be in the moment. Like right now, talking to you in the podcast, Adam. I enjoy you. I love talking to you. Part of me has been worrying about what's to come the rest of the day, right? So I'm not having as much fun. But as I think about it, and I just sit here right now, I love talking to you.
Laurie, I think you're speaking my language right there, right? Because I talk about presence with clients all the time, and that's the self-talk I give to myself, right? I have no control over what is going to happen when we walk out of this room, right? There could be lots of different things that could happen that I have absolutely no control of. And so I think stress a lot of times comes from we either worry about the past or worry about the future and what is going to happen rather than where we can control things, which is what we can in this one moment. Right. What is it that I can control? And I can control our conversation, like what I contribute, what I say, how I listen.
And you contribute so much. I do. I do feel like you are a very calming, empathic, loving presence. I imagine your patients feel very supported and cared about. I think you have a real gift for listening, and containment. It's like you often capture what we're saying and bring it to some sort of organized point. I think you have a gift.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Laurie. I appreciate that. Yeah. That was really nice. Yeah. That was de-stressing right there. That just took away a lot of stress. Thank you. I think that those types of things, I think that was very present of you in the moment. And I think those things are de-stressing. I think there's the other thing that I might add to is that part of our modern day stress is how connected we are.
Yes.
We are so connected to, whether it's phones, devices, to each other, to our jobs. Our jobs are more to the news. Like, we have got to create every week some disconnected space
every day,
right? Every single day if we possibly can. Where we turn off the phones, we turn off the TV, we're just there with our partner in some way, or by ourselves if we need some alone time. Like, just where we're not in, there's not, the world
not
isn't
plugged
intruding
in electronically.
Yeah, where the world isn't intruding in some form or fashion into our life, because that just, the news alerts, turn off. I had to turn off the news alerts on my phone, because whether I agree with them or not, like, they're just, they spike my anxiety every single time one of them flashes across the screen. You know?
I didn't listen to the news until 3 years ago. Like, I never read the newspaper. I never listened to the news. I found it too stressful. And now I've let that in again. And it's like, I do find my stress like much higher.
Yeah.
Worrying about nuclear war with North Korea, I'm thinking about that on a daily basis. And it's like, that's way outside of my control.
Yeah.
And,
and that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be informed, or we don't want to, like, be responsible citizens or anything. But,
sure,
like, we have to have some space where that is cut off, because we have to practice being able to block that out, the world out, tune it out, and be safe, especially if we want to focus on another person.
Exactly.
If we want to be connected to another person and be our partners, and to connect with them sexually, we have to practice being able to tune that out and keep that away.
So I would say 2 things. Give yourself a half an hour to an hour before bed of no electronics, no computer, no TV. Read a book.
Yeah.
Or lay in bed and talk to your partner. Like, have it be connect time. And then in the morning, don't look at your phone the first thing.
No, that's
Take your shower, get breakfast, get ready for work, and don't check email before. People say they have to, but don't.
You don't have to.
Just try not to start your day until you've given yourself, 5 minutes of meditation, a shower, make the bed. See, I would be so much more organized if I did it in that order. Make the bed and just, give yourself a minute of peace in the morning, so you're not getting up to this stressful day. Yeah. Okay.
Good tips. You're so good, Laurie.
Oh, yeah.
So much good information. I learned so much from you.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks for listening to Foreplay Radio Sex Therapy with your sex therapist, Laurie Watson, and our couples therapist, Dr. Adam Mathews. Hey, help us stay on top here at Foreplay. We'd love it if you would subscribe and share it with your friends. And please take 1 sec and rate and review us. Thanks so much.